Have you ever had one of those moments where every hair on your body just stands up? I do not mean because of the cold or because of some jump scare in a horror movie, but because something deep in your gut is telling you there is something out there gazing at you. I've only felt that once in my life, and it nearly killed me. I grew up in Montana, small town, big forests, lots of hunting and working with my hands. My old man was a lumberjack, just like his father before him, so it wasn't much of a shock when I went down the same path. My mom used to joke that I was built for it, said I had trees for arms and rocks for a skull. I spent years moving from job to job, cutting timber all over the country. You go where the work is, and that's how I ended up in North Carolina, finishing up a gig near the Great Dismal Swamp. On my way home, I took a detour through Bladensboro, just some old town off the highway. It was late, storm clouds rolling in, rain already spitting on the windshield. My truck, a 1998 Ford F-250, I'd been keeping alive with duct tape and prayers, decided right then and there to die on me. Of all the places in the world, it had to be there. I pulled off onto some dirt road, hoping I could get it started again, but no luck. Just the sound of rain hitting the roof and the wind shaking the trees. It was then that feeling hit me. That what I could call a primal instinct, like I wasn't the only one out here. I decided to grab my flashlight and step out. The woods were dead silent. No birds, no crickets, not even the wind anymore. Just that thick, choking silence that presses against your ears. I popped my hood, hoping to hell it was just a loose connection or a bad battery. Then I heard a snapping sound. A branch broke somewhere behind me. I froze, stopped breathing, and just listened. I couldn't hear anything. I turned, aiming the flashlight toward the trees. There was just darkness, the kind that swallows light. I was about to brush it off as just some animal when I saw two red eyes, low and staring at me. I went ice cold. The flashlight beam caught something that looked enormous, crouching between the trees. As soon as the light hit it, it moved back, sinking into the shadows like a damn apparition. My brain started pulling up old memories and trying to figure out what was that. Years ago, I read this weird magazine at a bar, some cheap tabloid looking thing. It had this article about the beast of Bladensboro, some kind of cryptid or monster sighting from the 50s. They called it a Dogman, a thing that was half wolf, half man, a thing that shouldn't exist. I laughed when I read it back then, but I wasn't laughing now. I slammed the hood shut and climbed back into the truck. I locked the doors, turned the key again. Nothing happened, just that empty, useless clicking of a dead engine. I checked the mirrors. No movement. The storm was getting worse, rain slamming against the glass. I grabbed my hatchet from the passenger seat, just for comfort. Then I noticed movement in the rearview mirror, a shadow darting across my view. It seemed closer this time. I held my breath, gripping the hatchet tight. The rain made it really hard to see, but I could just barely make out a shape. It was too tall to be a person and too thin for a bear. It wasn't moving toward the truck, but rather circling around it, around me, like a predator playing with its prey. The following minutes felt like hell. I kept trying to start the truck, praying for a miracle. Meanwhile, whatever this thing was stayed out there, lurking and watching. After some time, it got bold. A loud thump hit the back of the truck. I damn near jumped out of my skin. Another thump, this time near the driver's side. I turned, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. The beam from my flashlight caught it just right. It was tall, looked like at least 7 feet, with broad shoulders covered in mangy wet fur. Its arms were too long and seemed to end in clawed fingers, and its face, it looked like a wolf but not quite. The snout was short, the eyes were too intelligent. And the teeth, oh lord, they were too big for its mouth. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. Then it did something that still gives me the worst of nightmares. It smiled, not like a dog snarling, but like a person, like it was enjoying this. That was it. I was done. I dropped the hatchet, reached under the seat and pulled out my flare gun, something I kept for emergencies. I didn't think and I didn't hesitate. I fired. The flare shot into the night, a bright red flash lighting up the trees. The thing jerked back, eyes burning as the light hit it, and then it let out a sound that I'll never forget. The only way I can describe it is like a man screaming through a throat full of gravel. Then it bolted, on all fours at first, then upright, disappearing into the storm. I didn't wait around. With my hands violently shaking, I tried the ignition one last time. Like some sort of a miracle, the truck roared to life. I slammed my foot to the floor, flying down the dirt road faster than I've ever driven in my life. I don't even remember how I got back to the highway. I stopped to the side, the rain pounding on the roof and my heart trying to beat its way out of my chest. I took a few deep breaths and took off again, checking for a monster in my rearview mirror. When I reached the next town, my hands were still shaking. I pulled into a gas station, parked and just sat there. Right when I thought it was all over, I swear, I saw something huge prowling between the trees. I quickly filled the tank and took off, vowing to never go back to this stretch of road again. I'll tell you this, man, some things don't belong in this world. I don't care if you believe me or not, I'm just telling you what happened. If you're ever driving through Michigan's back roads and stop at some lonely little gas station in the middle of nowhere, keep your engine running and don't look too hard at the tree line. This happened last spring. I was driving through the Upper Peninsula, heading back from visiting a buddy. It was one of those perfectly clear days, bright sky, cool air, sun shining through the trees. Just an easy, quiet drive. I had Murphy with me, my black lab mix. He was good dog, maybe a little dumb, but great company. I was a few hours into the drive when I stopped at this tiny gas station off the highway. You know the type, old pumps, flickering neon sign, a single clerk inside that looks like they haven't seen another soul in weeks. Murphy was whining, so I figured I'd let him stretch his legs while filled up. That's when I noticed the woods seemed strange, wrong even. I grew up in Wyoming, so I know what a quiet forest sounds like. This wasn't that. This was empty. No birds, no wind, no bugs, just silence. Murphy felt it too. He froze, ears up, tail stiff, just staring at the trees behind the gas station. Then I saw a shape. It was big, too big. It was just inside the tree line, half hidden behind a thick pine. At first I thought it was a person, maybe some huge guy in dark clothing went to take a leak in the woods. But then it shifted, and I realized it was actually crouching and watching. I couldn't make out details, just the outline, but it was tall, hunched over, with these long arms that bent in a way that didn't seem right. Something in me said, "Don't move." But Murphy growled, low and deep, the kind of growl that makes your gut twist. That's when the thing moved. Not towards us, but also not away. It seemed to try and circle us. I didn't see it move. I just blinked and suddenly it was at a different tree, still half hidden, still staring. My brain went into fight or flight mode, that snap-second instinct when you know something is wrong and you have to act. I grabbed Murphy by the collar and backed toward the truck, trying not to look like I was running. The whole time, that thing did not move its gaze. I climbed into the driver's seat, locked the doors and sat there, gripping the wheel, and then it just vanished. There was no sound, no movement, it was just gone. I should have left right then. I should have driven like hell and never looked back. But I needed a place to crash for the night, so, like an idiot, I booked a motel down the road. The place was a dump. Peeling wallpaper, buzzing lights, that weird musty smell that all bad motels have. But I was too tired to care. I checked in, grabbed some food from a gas station down the road, and went back to the room. Murphy was restless, pacing near the door, ears flicking at every sound outside. I tried to shake off the feeling that something was not quite right. Maybe it was just some weirdo in the woods, maybe I was just tired. My thought was interrupted by a tapping sound. It started light, just a soft tap 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 on the motel window. Murphy froze. I felt my stomach drop. I hoped it was rain, but it was not raining. The window had the curtains drawn, but I knew if I pulled them back, I'd see something I didn't want to see. The tapping came again. It was slow and seemed deliberate. I grabbed my pocket knife from the nightstand because what else was I gonna do? I wasn't armed for this. Murphy let out this deep, ugly snarl. His fur was bristling, his body low to the ground. He looked ready to tear through the wall. And that's when I heard the laugh. It wasn't a normal laugh. It started high, almost like a hyena's cackle. Then it dropped, turned into this deep, gurgling chuckle, like a man trying to choke back a scream. I thought my heart was gonna stop. My legs weakened. The tapping turned into scraping, long, slow scratches across the glass. I couldn't take it anymore. I yanked the curtains open, and there it was. It was grinning like it could smell my fear. I still can't describe the face right. It was canine but twisted, with a short snout and mouth too wide for the face, with teeth like daggers glinting in the night. It was laughing. It wasn't trying to break in. It was toying with me, like a predator, having fun. I didn't think. I grabbed the 120,000 lumen flashlight I have recently bought from my backpack and went outside. I shined it directly at its face. It leapt back into the dark, disappearing in the trees before I could follow its movement. But I heard it, that sick laugh echoing from the trees, like it was enjoying itself. I didn't stay to find out if it was coming back. I grabbed my bag, yanked Murphy into the truck and peeled the hell out of there. I drove straight through the night, didn't stop, didn't look back. I ran on energy drinks. By the time I hit civilization, the sun was rising. It almost felt normal again, but I still had the feeling of being watched, and that something was waiting for me and won't even stop. I don't stop at random gas stations anymore. I don't sleep near the woods, and I don't laugh at rumors. Because I know what I saw, the only reason I am still here is because this thing likes to play with its food first. Have you ever broken down on a back road in the middle of nowhere? It's bad enough in the daylight, but at night? In the pouring rain? With something watching you from the woods? Yeah, that's a different kind of hell. I was driving through rural Maine last summer, coming back from a fishing trip. The weather had been decent most of the day, humid, cloudy, but nothing crazy. Then, like the sky just split open, the rain came down. I don't mean a drizzle, but an instant flood, sheets of water hammering the road, my wipers barely keeping up. It was the kind of rain that swallow sound makes the whole world feel smaller. I was maybe 20 miles from the next town when my car died. Just like that. No warning, no sputtering, just dead. The engine cut out and I coasted to a stop on the shoulder. Tried the key and nothing. Lights worked, battery seemed fine, but the damn thing just wouldn't turn over. On top of that, I got this feeling like something was off, not quite right. I stepped out, rain drenching me instantly. popped the hood and started checking what I could in the dark. The woods felt strange. The rain was muffling the sounds, but it still felt too quiet. Now look, I'm a cop. I don't scare easy. I've been in gunfights, chased suspects down alleys at 2 in the morning, but this was different. The trees should have been alive with sound, frogs, wind, but there was nothing, just the rain, and the feeling that I was being watched. I kept my head down, acting like I didn't notice, but my hand went to my hip. Not for my gun yet, but just resting there, ready. I turned slowly, pretending to adjust the hood. That's when I saw them. Eyes. They were low to the ground at first, maybe 6 feet back, just inside the tree line. I thought wolf, maybe a big dog, but then they rose higher, too high. The damn thing had been crouching. Now it was standing, and those eyes had to be 7, maybe 8 feet up, just hovering in the dark, staring right at me. I didn't move nor breathe, because I knew whatever this was, it was waiting, testing me, and I wasn't about to fail. I forced myself to act normal, fiddling with the engine like I was just a dumb guy stuck in the rain. Then, real casual, like I closed the hood and got back in the car, locked the doors. The eyes didn't blink, just vanished. And that was worse. I grabbed my radio, and of course, there was no signal. So I did the smart thing. I locked up, grabbed my flashlight and my Glock, and waited for the rain to die down. I figured, what's the worst case? I'd start walking once the storm let up. Maybe hitch a ride, call for help at the next town. I turned on the radio to distract myself, and that's when I remembered. I'd seen something about this before. A while back I caught this weird late night TV show, one of those cryptid hunter things. They'd done an episode on Maine legends. Have you ever heard of the Dogman? Big as a bear, walks like a man, but with the head of a wolf. Smart, territorial, and worst of all, it likes to play with its food. I remember laughing at the show back then. Some guy in a ghillie suit, growling at the camera, fake tracks in the dirt. But now I wasn't laughing. The rain didn't let up. If anything, it got worse. I checked my watch, 10:30 p.m. I wasn't walking anywhere in this mess, so I settled in, gun in my lap, nestled in the middle of the car and tried to wait it out. Then something thumped against the trunk. Once, then again. I turned, hard hammering. The car rocked, just slightly, like someone was pushing on it, testing it. I raised the Glock, safety off. Not tonight, asshole, I muttered. Silence. Then a slow scraping sound. Close. Right down the back of the car. I couldn't see it, but I felt it. I knew it was right behind me, just out of sight. It wasn't trying to break in. It was stalking me, waiting for me to panic. I clenched my jaw. If this thing wanted a reaction, it wasn't gonna get one. So I did the only thing I could. I waited, and waited, and waited, until the handle moved. Not yanked, not forced, just pressed down slowly, like someone was testing if it was locked. I whipped around, gun raised. Nothing was there. Just rain-streaked glass and the black shape outside. Then it grinned. It showed all of its white, sharp, oversized teeth. I didn't think, but just fired through the window. The gunshot deafening, the muzzle flash lit up the night, and I saw it. Broad shoulders, thick fur soaked from the rain, claws like knives. The face, canine, but also too human in the worst way possible. And its eyes, cold, smart, amused. Then it was gone, in an instant. I didn't wait. I grabbed my multi-tool, popped the hood release and ran into the rain. It was still out there. I could feel it, circling around me. I didn't care. I just needed to fix the damn car. My hands were shaking, slipping on the wet engine parts. Then, that laugh, low, rattling, like a growl trying to be human. I forced myself to focus, twisted the wire back into place, tried the key, nothing. Another laugh, closer. I tried again, nothing. Then, bread on my neck. I turned and the headlights flared to life, and in that brief flash of light I saw it clearly. It was right there, inches away, matted fur drenched in rain, a mouth too wide, too full of teeth, and it was smiling. I slammed the hood, drove into the car and floored it. The damn thing was playing with me. The tire spun, then caught, and I was gone. I didn't stop until I was hours away. Nowadays, I no longer drive through Maine, and if my car ever breaks down again, I'll burn the damn thing and use it as a bonfire, then wait in the dark.